Of course, Memorial Day weekend, lots of exciting stuff happening, but it also begins what are called the 100 deadliest days, and that refers to teen drivers and the risks that the next couple of months pose with, being off of school, having more free time. So joining me now is Tammy McGee, live via Zoom. She heads the Conner Guido Foundation. She's also a partner in the 100 Safest Days campaign. Tammy, thanks so much for being with us here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. If no one has ever heard of this, I know the campaign that you're a part of is 100 Safest Days, but unfortunately the next couple months, as I mentioned, are commonly referred to as the 100 Deadliest Days. And why is that?
Well, it's very sad, but most people, most children lose their lives between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And so that had been traditionally coined as the 100 deadliest days of summer. And our coalition and our initiative here is a nationwide push to change that narrative to the 100 safest days of summer.
And we're going to get into what makes it so dangerous and what we can do to make it safer. But I know this is a cause that is very personal to you. Can you tell us a little bit about why?
It is very personal. On October 26, 2019, my son left his junior homecoming dance, hopped into the vehicle with a teenager who was, of course, later found out to be unlicensed and underage. Had we known that ahead of time, obviously we would have done things differently. But when a teenager shows up driving, you assume they have a driver's license. So most of us just made that assumption. So unfortunately, he and his friends, 3 people, lost their lives that night at a triple fatality that was 100% preventable.
I'm so sorry to hear that you have dealt with that, but that is what has propelled you to be so involved in this campaign and this work to educate other teenagers and other drivers. What makes this time period, this summer time period, so dangerous? Can you elaborate on that for us?
Well, obviously, teens are out of school, right? So they're out. They're on our roadways. They are engaging with other teenagers. Parents are at work. So we definitely want to encourage parents to get that app on their teenager's phone to make sure you know where your teen is. Make sure you know who they're hanging out with and vet them. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, do you have a driver's license? I'd like to see it," before you let your teenager hop into the car with them. We want to make sure that they know about these deadly effects during this time frame. And there's parties and there's events and there's not a lot of structure over the summer. So if you go to 100safestdaysofsummer.com, you're going to find a whole bunch of resources, things that are already set up for you to have conversations with your teenager, to become engaged and have those difficult conversations before, unfortunately, and hopefully something tragic doesn't happen.
And, as far as parents sitting down with teenagers, of course, driving for that first time, maybe that first summer is such an exciting time to be behind the wheel, maybe behind the wheel alone at one point once you're licensed for the first time. What would you recommend as far as, sitting down with your teen and talking to them about this, to really get through to them that this is so important that they're, keeping it top of mind of driving as safely as possible?
Well, I tell them to go to connerguido.com. We never thought that this was going to happen to us. We're a normal family, probably just like most of our viewers listening in here tonight. And we never think it's going to happen to us. So I urge you to use our tragedy, bring up those videos, show your teenager that it can happen in the blink of an eye. It can happen when you don't expect it to. And we want to open up those conversations. So when you're at the dinner table or the breakfast table, go ahead and start having those conversations. Use the resources from 100safestdaysofsummer.org, the National Road Safety Foundation, Impact Teen Drivers. Lots of organizations are behind this initiative to make sure that your teenager arrives home safely.
Absolutely. Any other tips or pieces of advice or parts of your story that you'd like to share, Tammy, just about this whole concept in general?
Well, I think it's really important for parents to understand that the number one cause of unintentional injury is driving. It's not drugs or alcohol, it is driving. And it's the one thing that we have 100% control over. So there's some really easy steps to making sure that those tragedies don't happen and affect your family. Put your phone down, put it on silence, buckle up, slow down. Eliminate the distractions in your vehicle. The number one distraction for teenagers age 15 to 18 is too many people in the vehicle. And that again is easily controlled. So I'm going to encourage you again, get an app on your child's phone, make sure you know who they're with, what they're doing, where they're going, and the speed limits that they're driving, because we do know there's a big difference between traveling 35 miles an hour and traveling 75 miles an hour and recovering from a crash at those rates of speed. So just speak up right now and talk to your teenagers so that we'll have the 100 safest days of summer.
Okay, Tammy, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing your story and this really valuable information as we head into the holiday weekend. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Good luck, Michigan. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you.